Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great. How you doing,
I'm gonna.
buddy?
I'll give you one of these. There you go. There you go.
Oh,
There you
thank you.
go. There. Oh, that's better. No, can't have the light switch in there. You can't. No, no, no.
You're giving me the classic Matarese beginning to the podcast.
Did we start?
Yes.
This is it.
Yes, I gotta include that. That's so you.
I know. I know. My eyes are so itchy this morning, dude.
Hey,
Great.
I pulled my back out before I got out of bed.
Oh my god, I've had a bad back and shoulder literally for like a year, and then, yeah, it doesn't feel good today. Man, look at my eyes. I look like I smoked like a joint before I came on here.
I considered it. I really did because I just thought maybe it would relieve my shoulder.
I should probably start.
I got some weed my dad gave me. If you want a little.
Dad weed.
It's good.
How's
It's
that?
actually it's really good weed.
Really?
Yeah. So what's new, man?
I don't know. I don't know. We were all just saying, everybody in my house, we were all just saying, we all feel really tired this morning for some reason. I don't know.
I know why I'm tired. I jerked off last night.
You did?
Yeah.
I
And
haven't done that in a while for some
really,
reason.
well,
Yeah, I'm off of it. Not purposely. It just kind of haven't. I don't know. I think I just been too tired. I've been so that's the one thing that has changed in my life in the past month is I become super outdoorsy and I've been just doing shit all day. And then by like I used to be able to stay up and that's when I would watch TV and stuff alone when my kids would go to bed and my wife would go to bed. And now I've been going right to bed with them. Like I can't stay up past 11 o'clock. I'm out.
that's kind of beautiful though. You're one unit.
We're one unit. Yes, definitely. I tried my hand at some fishing yesterday morning on a friend's boat.
Oh, wow.
Unsuccessful. And then we went to the beach, and I thought I was going to try some fishing again off my kayak, and brought my bait down to the beach in a little plastic bag.
Mhm.
I've been learning. I'm like guessing my way through it, and it's hilarious. I'm like, how long does bait good? Does it go bad in your refrigerator?
Do
You
the
ever
fish
fish?
do the fish complain to the manager?
They're like this ain't good. This tastes a day past the sell by date.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no sell by date. There's a bit there.
The
There's
Yelp
no
for
sell by
fish.
date when they hand you this little plastic. When you go to the bait shop, they hand you a little. They have a fridge with all the bait just stacked up, all different kinds, and it's probably a lot like when you buy weed at these medical marijuana dispenser houses or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
And he asks you what you want. You know, you want some sandworms. You want. I got clams. So I got clams in my fridge in this thing. So I finally just put them in the freezer yesterday. But I don't know if they go bad and then they stop working to catch fish. No idea.
Just make some spaghetti with clam sauce and use the leftovers.
You wonder, like, are these are these decent clams that you can use to eat, or is this like bottom of the barrel shit clams that these guys sell?
That's true. I don't know.
I don't know, man. So you're not so I can't learn any fishing tips from you.
Nah, I mean I've been, but
You got the
not
fisherman's beard.
I want to go. I really do want to go off a boat, like pay go down to the marina and like pay them $50 and go out in the ocean.
Can you? I got a 2-man kayak.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm
I'll
down to
take
go.
you out. Would
Hell
you
yeah.
go out fishing with me?
Yeah, anytime.
All right. That's the other thing is that you buy this kayak and now you got to figure out how to. I don't have anything to move it to anywhere. I don't have those mounts that you put on your car.
Oh.
I had to borrow shit from my father-in-law and then just drop it at the
Oh.
beach. It's on a rack at the beach right now,
God
and I
damn.
have no idea where I'm putting it in the wintertime.
Yeah, that's a
It's
tough
gonna
one.
have to. It's gonna have to go in the garage, but if I get the mounts, then I could go drop it in anywhere, and I could bring you because they have all these rules now at this place we joined. You can't bring guests. No,
Oh.
that's like the most fun of joining one of these places is bringing your friend or bringing your kid's friend or
Showing off your new life at the
you got to
club.
show it off. Yeah, it's like half the reason you join is so you can say I'm going to the club. Like I always tell my wife, but like it's great. Yesterday when I went on this dude's boat, like this club we joined is like I call it the club for regular people.
Hmm.
It's not one of those like it's not a country club. It's like it's a beach club, let's be honest,
Yep.
and you grew up in New Rochelle, I didn't. So you probably are very savvy to knowing all these beach clubs. I guess all the proms were there, right?
I mean, I didn't go to high school here, but yeah, I went to one of those once or twice.
Yeah. So like and then you have that next tier, which I went to the Larchmont Yacht Club yesterday,
Mm.
right? And you just don't I don't like that vibe, man. You ever go places where you're like, they know I don't belong? Some of it could be in your head, but
Yeah.
you're sitting there going, they're all just looking at you. You can feel it.
But then you think about like Larry David, he doesn't look like he belongs, and he's the richest dude ever.
It's true, but like you should know from growing up here. Well, mostly that Larchmont vibe. They're all French. It's a French vibe. Everybody's
Really?
like, yeah. So they're Larchmont had a huge French community.
No, I didn't
They
know that at
do.
all.
Yeah, it's the next town over. It's all very French, and they're all French people dress well.
Yeah, they do.
Like when people they have like shorts, they have like nicer shorts, nicer bathing suits than you, well fitted like button downs on with their shorts. I
I
always
want to
say
start.
like
I want to start dressing like that.
this is the dress. If you want to look like a rich dude, I feel like this is the uniform. They all wear shorts,
Mm.
khaki shorts, button down with the rolled up sleeves.
Yeah,
They wear
yeah.
the long sleeve button down with the rolled up, and then they wear those loafers with no socks.
That's that they call that look the Zinfandel.
That's what that's called.
No.
Oh, why'd you choose Zinfandel?
I don't know. I was
Is that
trying
what
to
they
think of a
drink?
French white wine, but that's like the cheapest, shittiest
I was
one.
gonna say Zinfandel shit.
What's a good white wine that they serve in France?
Oh
Blanc,
yeah, I do
Sauvignon
know
Blanc.
that's like standard probably.
Yeah.
But there's like a, no no no. I'm remembering a movie where I'm older than you. I always quote the Pope of Greenwich Village, but in the movie The Pope of Greenwich Village, Mickey Rourke's like dream is to buy this bed and breakfast like in the like Catskills, like an hour outside of New York City, and him and his I think it's his wife in the movie, Daryl Hannah. They keep going there every once in a while, and they'll have like lunch, and they'll sit out there, and they're like, "This is the place they want to buy." And I remember him ordering this French wine. I still remember it, and I can hear it in my head because like a oh shit. I wish we could Google it right now. And
I
he's
mean, we
sitting in the
could. I'm
restaurant.
trying to
He's like, "Do
think.
you want to?"
Here, I'll Google it. Let's see if I can Google it. I'm trying to think of just French wines. I mean, I can think of some German ones. There's like Gewürztraminer, and what's the other one? There's kind of sweet one.
That doesn't sound as rich as when it's a French.
There's Pinot Gris, which I guess
Chum.
is Pinot
Well, Pinot
Grigio.
Grigios and Sauvignon Blanc, they're
Yeah,
just your
yeah,
standard two white wines. Because my wife drinks white wine, and I know if I go to the store, she hates Sauvignon Blanc. She hates that. She likes Pinot Grigio, and
yeah.
that's just the easy one. I'm the king of, I'm the $12 wine guy, $12 to $16 a bottle.
I mean, you
Like
can
you
get
go,
great wine for that.
yeah, you go under $12, you're getting a risky wine. It could taste like shit. Usually, if it's 12 to 18 bucks, it's decent,
Yeah.
and no one's like, oh,
You know what my move is? Is always that little DOC or DOCG Italian label. They have that little white strip at the top with all the fancy lettering
Okay.
on Italians, that have been sourced properly. And I just go, if it's got that, it's probably okay.
Here's another one you can use, and I've only had it bite me in the ass once.
Mm.
Any red wine from no, from Mendoza.
Hmm.
Mendoza's in Argentina, right? Yeah, it is. Argentinian wines, they're usually always good, especially
Okay.
that city of Mendoza.
Okay.
Like Malbec or a Shiraz, not I get Shiraz and Shiraz mixed up. There's a Shiraz, right, with an
Yeah.
H at the end, and then there's Shiraz, which is like an Australian wine, I think.
Sounds like blue raspberry drink.
Yeah,
Shiraz.
my wife's a big Shiraz fan.
I didn't know there were two different ones.
There's two different ones. Yeah, that's like they're both red wines,
There's
but
some. I was
Malbecs are good too. I
Yeah, I
like
like
those.
Malbec. There's some great New Zealand wines too.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. New Zealand is Shiraz. I don't know.
Oh,
Did
fucking.
you get
I
the
looked it
French
up and
word?
there's nothing. They don't have anything for Pope of Greenwich Village white wine. There's
I don't
nothing.
even think I don't know if it was a white wine. I just know it was a French wine.
Oh, okay.
It was like Dubon Chaumagnon, and he's like Chaumagnon. That's all I remember. She says it, and then he says it.
I like the German white wines. Um, there's
Never
nothing.
had it.
There's nothing. All
But
right.
you know you got a loser at your table when he orders the White Zinfandel.
Can I get a cup of Zinni?
Yeah, my friend Justin, who's from Maine, he always was like one of those guys. Like you couldn't even believe he was in show business. We used to tease him because he just wouldn't. He didn't know that the Oscars and the Academy Awards were the same thing. And we were like, dude, how are you in show business? Like you don't know that? He's like, I didn't know that. But then he would bust on me because I would be so in the dark on politics that he would rip me a new ad. We were roommates in New York and in LA. Well, no, we were best friends in New York, but then we were roommates in LA, and that was our thing. Like he'd be like fucking clueless. Like he didn't see any movies. He like even now, he's been doing comedy as long as me. He doesn't listen to podcasts. He doesn't know who does what. Like he knows like that Joe Rogan and Mark Maron have big podcasts, but he doesn't listen to any of them. He's just not in the know when it comes to
Yeah.
that shit.
Well, speaking of being in the know, I wanted to pick your brain on on showbiz, basically.
Okay. That's what's funny because I'm trying to do this mentoring thing now, and like I'm known as like I'm not doing well. I'm not like, but I always say like you think you're going to be able to hire Joe Rogan to mentor you? That's not available. It doesn't exist. Someone who's killing it in show business, unless he's your brother or your first cousin, he's not going to sit you down and give you a bunch of advice and help you steer your career.
Or you're
But
already
someone
doing well.
yeah, they're not going to. So, I look at it as I'm a guy that almost did really well and had a lot of good things happen. And then it kind of, had a die out period. So at least, but I feel like, there's a lot of athletes that you can hire that are really good coaches, but they might not necessarily, they weren't Hall of Fame baseball player or basketball players. Sometimes you're a better coach than a player, So,
Right.
and I'm enjoying helping like a few people. I'm not trying to teach a big class. I'm trying to like work with one person and kind of keep them away from doing a lot of the dumb shit that I did and steer them around. But
Well, you helped
so
me out just with that thing where you messaged me like, "Hey, man, you're looking like a crazy person on TikTok."
did that help?
It did help. It really did.
I still notice because I watch all your TikTok posts and I notice the ones that stand out. And like the one you did where you fell on the piano.
Hmm.
Like that was like a funny. What was the punchline of that? What was the premise?
It's just
You
the
like fell
song.
on a piano and like were hitting keys at your face and head,
It's just the
and then you
song.
rolled off.
This is a composition I call 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I said to you, I go, Andrew, you got some where you look like a crazy person, and then you got other ones that you look like uniquely different, but it's a funny observation. And
Hmm.
I think I said that to you. I said they need to make sense. If they're just like so out there that there's no joke, it's just you being stupid. Like you said, the other one Well, you didn't say it, but I think I told you the other one that you did that really probably did that get your most views on TikTok or Instagram was the Brita filter one.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that your biggest hit
Yeah, on TikTok for sure.
in the last? How often do you post?
I mean, I was posting like once or twice a day for a while, but I kind of died off because I've been working on other stuff.
And what do you feel is the best time to post on these things?
I don't
Does it
fucking
matter?
know. I think it does, but I don't know.
Okay. So, what are your questions for a guy that isn't doing well?
You're doing well. I mean, you're living in a beautiful house. You have a beautiful wife. You have beautiful kids.
Yes, I got that shit
You're a
down.
great. Hilarious. You kill every time you do comedy. You know, man.
No, every time, but
Not, but
sometimes.
most of the time you do well.
Thank you.
You're funny. People respect that you're funny.
Thank you.
Um,
So, what is your question? Is it a specific question or a wide question?
well, I guess my question is more generally. I'm starting a new project, like a web series.
Hmm.
Um, and we're just having the hardest time getting guests.
Oh yeah, that's one of the hardest. Do you have a partner or is it just you?
It's me, Oscar, and another young comedian.
Okay. Yeah, I do you remember when right before COVID hit, I was about to have my own office
I
in New
remember.
York City about a block away from Grand Central. And I was getting it at a really cheap price because it was in my sister-in-law's company. The owner, super cool dude, and she's in like a creative field. They do a lot of editing of TV promos and stuff like that. And so it's like a lot of editing suites in the office. And he always had about 10 to 12 employees in there, but he had a lot of empty offices. So he was going to give me one cheap. And I was like, this is how I'm going to get guests. Now, this is before COVID, so you didn't have to Zoom somebody in like we're doing right now.
Hmm.
You had to figure out a way. How do I make it easy for somebody who's doing well in New York City and get him as a guest? Well, if I'm over near Grand Central, this might help, because now I can do them during the daytime, because at night, especially if you're trying to get comics that are doing well, they're always doing spots, and that was always their excuse. So you had to figure out a way. How do I make this so easy for them? And how do you remember for like I'm the king of a lot of ideas. So I had the other one where I was like, when the COVID hit and I wasn't going to have the office, I was like, let's do a 10-minute podcast
Yeah.
where it's five questions. It was called 5 and 10, 5 questions in 10 minutes. And now I can get some bigger names on because it's like a Zoom. It's two, or no, it wasn't even a Zoom. I did it live
Yeah.
on Instagram.
You had Hannibal on. Who else did you
Yeah.
have?
But I'll tell you what, those big guys,
Yeah.
it's not something has changed in the past 10 years. Because 10 years ago, you got a big comedian that had like 1 million followers on one of your podcasts, you'd get a lot of downloads on it.
Mm.
Now, I think because there's so many podcasts now, nobody gives a shit. That one with Hannibal, that didn't get a lot of downloads. I had what's his name did better than Hannibal. Mark Norman did better than Hannibal.
Yeah.
And but these are just guys we know. You
Yeah.
think my dad knows who Hannibal Buress is?
Probably
Like
not.
you need to get that. That's the level of guest you need to try to get to really make a difference. You got to get David Letterman on your podcast. You got to get
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld on your podcast.
Yeah.
Like Chris Rock. Like, it's crazy. Even if you get Mark Maron like on your podcast, it's not like they want to hear it. And if they're a podcaster, I think they'd rather listen to them on their podcast. Like if he comes and does yours as a favor, unless he's really going out of his way on his social media,
Yeah.
which they're not going to do. Like I
Yeah.
said, unless they're your best friend or they're
Right.
your cousin, they're going to help you. We are in a very non-helping business, stand-up comedians. You might be better off trying to get big guests that aren't stand-ups.
Oh yeah, that's I mean that's what I'm trying to do because it's not a stand-up show. It's called Knowledge Daddies. So the idea is we basically learn a skill from an expert in any field. You know, it could be woodworking, it could be fishing, it could be cooking, and then we kind of bring them our attempt without their help and then get their reaction, get their advice, and then try again with their advice. And then
So that's a good idea. I like that. So are they? What do you film yourself trying to do the thing they're an expert in?
hmm
You literally you literally shoot yourself, like film yourself trying to like build something.
yeah, exactly. I mean,
That's a lot
usually
of work.
we'll
So
pick one
you're
skill, you know.
shooting and editing it and everything, like it's gonna look like a reality television show almost.
Yeah, but it's gonna be short, you know, like 7 minutes each episode.
And you're have so don't go for big names.
I mean, we're not even going for that big a name. We just
Well,
want to.
because who the hell's a big name in woodworking, or who's a big name?
Right, right.
I think people are interested in. I always think learning something is always a big asset in any television show, any podcast. If it's a way that you're being entertained and you're learning, people like that. So,
But the thing
um,
is, we want to get guests who either are, you know, at least are good in their field, who are really good at what they do, and who are not boring on camera necessarily.
yeah, and how you going to know that unless they are already on television?
Or if they have like social media and they're, you know, they do stuff.
That's a good way to. Then maybe that's where you go for your guests, because that's probably what you're doing. You go right
Yeah.
to social media and just direct message them.
Yeah. But it's just hard with the COVID thing because we need to do this in person. It's not going to work over Zoom, really.
Oh, you got to do it in person? That's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
Where?
That's another thing. I mean, depending on the thing, we either have to rent a spot, go to their spot, or have them come to, you know, if it's cooking, we could do it at my friend's house. He has a nice kitchen, but it's like, you know, if it's depends on the thing.
Now, I had another question. Uh, yeah, so you need to film them showing you how to do what they do. They're
Yeah.
not, they can't just guide you via Zoom, like you said. They have to be there.
I mean, I guess
Have
if
you?
it was like directing, you know, we could do it via Zoom.
You can do. You don't think you can do everything via Zoom now? Like I have my friend Andres. You never did you
Yeah,
met
I've met
him at
Andres.
that
Yeah.
party at my house? Like
Yeah.
he's like a DP and shoots things, and and he's been like he's done directing jobs via Zoom. He's like they're literally at the shoot in like Colorado, and he's telling them where to put the camera and what to do via Zoom.
Hmm.
It's possible because maybe that could be a hook, and that's kind of funny to watch them like in a small frame. You and your buddy can be in the kitchen trying,
Right.
like if it's a food one, and now you got the chef up there and he's showing you, telling you what to do, and then you're trying to apply it while he's talking.
That's true.
Why don't you try out, just do some practice runs of it?
Via Zoom.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The hard part would be like I'm just like throwing it out there. Say you had a stand-up comedy episode and you had some big stand-up comedian guests.
Mhm.
How are you going to apply what he's telling you to do while you're doing it? Like you can't be on stage doing a show and then have
Well,
somebody giving you notes
the idea would be we'd record ourselves doing that, then show them that and get their
and
feedback.
then change it and then
Yeah.
do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that Zoom. I think I feel like you have to. I don't think anybody's doing anything that other. Once this is over, then you can go do it the other way.
Yeah.
But what do you got to lose to try it?
And we might be able to
Um,
get some bigger guests than we would otherwise because it's Zoom.
and I I also think sometimes there's tricks, like they don't have to be household names, but they have big followings. Like to talk about your concept, kind of. It's not a podcast though. I've seen a few of them now because I've been trying to learn how to fish via YouTube clips. And I stumbled on these two like models, right? They're
Hmm.
literally in G-string bathing suits, right? This is what was hilarious to me. They're like in phenomenal shape and they got great personalities. They're not like morons. They know what
Yeah.
they're doing. Like they know how to fish. It's like a good hook. You're like, this girl's a model. She's wearing a G-string bikini and she's like a hunter. Like
Yeah.
it's like a major difference. Like I watched one episode where she was in Cabo San Lucas catching swordfish, right? And then it cut in the middle of it, and now she was in she was in a tree in the woods somewhere. It must have been in another country because she was shooting wild pig. And I had never seen a pig like this. It was weird looking. She's up in a, what do they call that when they're like up in a tree on
A
like a mount?
blind or
Yeah,
some
she was
shit.
in like a blind on a mount with a crossbow, and she's shooting wild pig, and I'm like in her bathing suit.
Damn.
I'm like, and I never knew this about me, but when I watched it, I was just like, oh, like how did you? The pig's just sitting there because they throw all kind of food down on the ground. They just sprayed a big area of like food all over the ground, and they just wait, and then they're killing things across, and you're going, wow, this is a like sometimes it's like I think opposites are big attention grabbers. So it's like if you and your partner are complete fuck ups,
Yeah.
it's a better show. Like if you
Oh,
guys
we
are
are.
hot, you guys should be high during it. Like you should be like let's make ourselves as bad at everything as possible, and just sucking,
Well,
and you'll
I
get
don't think we
fans.
need to. I don't think we need to try too hard to
Yeah,
make that happen. I think that's gonna
yeah.
happen
I
regardless.
hope. Yeah, like you guys don't pick a task that you can kind of do.
Well, that's why we don't want to do stand up, except for Oscar. It'd be funny.
Okay, yeah, that'll be funny. Like another example is like I put a couple of joke pictures up on my Instagram over the past week where I think you commented on it. I
Yeah.
said, "Oh, can a comedian get away with like being half naked?" Right? And that's where you realize you need to be a bigger opposite also. If you're a girl, I feel like if this I'm going to do a positive stereotype. If you're a girl comedian, you can go with gorgeous,
Mm.
really hot, and like dress sexy in all your pictures, and a lot of people will comment and like your stuff, right? You'll get a lot of fans. But if you're a guy, you know, maybe if you'd have to be insanely handsome
Right.
to get away with building a fan base because you look like a model. Because I don't think there's one comedian out there that like his hook is how good looking he is, and it made him famous.
Well, I mean, I think it helped
Just
for Dane Cook. It helped for Dalia.
yeah, but like even those guys, they're not drop dead.
No,
They're like all right looking guys. That
no. It's
they're
mostly
not
that.
models.
It's mostly that they were tall and they had confidence.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it's not like they look like Tom Cruise or something. And they got you got to be funny. Like, but I feel like what am I trying to say here? Oh, so when I put those pictures up and I was like half naked,
Yeah.
trying to like be goofy, like
Yeah.
that only works for Bert Kreischer, who's got a big gut.
Right.
Like there's
Right.
an exaggeration there. Like I'm like okay, I'm like kind of. I'm not a fat guy. I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm not shredded.
Yeah. When you're
You
like
know.
80, it might work.
Yeah, yeah, there's got to be there's not enough of an exaggeration there, and I think I find that so hard to figure out in my comedy career. What is something that is like a major opposite? The only other thing I used to write about is you know me being a community college dropout and married a woman with a PhD. Like that's the only thing that's opposite, really, in my life situation, and my parents being Republican and my
Well,
wife's
I think
parents
that's your
being
thing there,
Democrat.
is that you're kind of like an everyman in a lot of ways. So
Mm-hmm.
if you went like with the elite of the elite intelligentsia,
Yeah,
and
that would be the podcast.
yeah,
And I don't know anything. I'm like, what? It's like
yeah,
like my friend Justin, the guy who I made fun of him not knowing the Academy Awards.
yeah.
And then I didn't know this was a bit, but I had really said it out loud. It was when Dick Cheney first was vice president, and there was something on the news, and Justin was my roommate, and I look at him and I go, "Who the fuck is Dick Cheney?" And he goes, "The vice president." And I go, "Of the United States?" I literally said that out loud, and he was like, "What the fuck, dude? You don't know that?" And I was like, "I didn't, I didn't."
I like how you almost called him Duck Cheney.
Duck Cheney? Who the fuck is Duck Cheney? Yeah,
Did you?
maybe we just stumbled on something. So yeah, you guys being like, do you have any possibilities as real experts?
Well, we wanted to get my friend Steven on. He was supposed to do it this Friday, but I don't know if it's going to happen. He seems like he's unsure of it for COVID reasons. He's like a YouTube chef who's doing well.
I have a friend who's amazingly skilled. Um, I guess you would say all around craftsman.
Hmm.
He owns a brownstone in Bed-Stuy, and he like fixed the whole thing up.
Is that the guy I met who stopped doing comedy and then started again?
Yeah, did you meet him in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Him. Yeah, he makes a lot of he takes a lot of really rare art stuff and like turns it around and makes it cool again and sells it. He turned the first floor of his brownstone into like a gift shop, and he sells all this weird stuff, right? You know, right there. And whenever I'm trying to do certain jobs around the house, he's someone I call, and he kind of shows me what I should be doing. But I would find out what is his exact expertise. Um,
Yeah, that could be
you know,
cool.
he has that tin type. He wants it. I don't know if I told you about this.
Mm-mm.
You might be able to use this as an episode because he's interested in getting publicity about it. Do you know what a tin type is? I
No.
didn't know what it was till he told me. A tin type is the way they used to take photographs in like the 1800s. You ever see those old pictures? They
Oh,
look like
like
they're in
a
that
daguerreotype
sepia.
type.
Yeah, it's actually tin. It's
Oh.
very thin, and and they're really high resolution from like 1800. So someone was selling one on eBay. I think he's had it for like 3 years, claiming it was a real tintype of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid
Wow.
with the entire. There's a gang that he was part of that was committing all those crimes, and he's been trying to. He bought it, and he got it for like maybe I shouldn't say what he paid for because he didn't pay much, but
Mm-hmm.
if it's a real one, it's worth like $3 million.
Damn.
And he's been trying to prove for the last 3 years, and he's insane. Like if you just say to him tintype, you're in a 4 hour conversation.
You're stuck.
You're not getting out of there.
You're in your own tin type. You're stuck on the tin.
I got to show you this. This will make you laugh. If I can
Okay.
get it fast, I'll put it into the podcast because he made a magazine. He bound the whole thing, proving it, proving why this is real, sizing different sections of the pictures. The nose is this many inches. It's the same as this one. That's a real, that has been proven as a real tintype of Butch Cassidy. This is the same guy. They were known to dress up because they were. These guys would like.
You said
There's
Butch
all the
Cassidy in the most Jewish way. You said Butch Cassidy.
Butch Cassidy. I have the booklet right here in my closet that he sent me. It's bizarre.
All right, I'm down. Yeah, that would be an interesting episode. Art restorer, or I don't know what we could do with tin types, but I'm trying to think what else would be cool over Zoom. Zoom's a hard one because you gotta get a nice camera set up via Zoom, and that's kind of a pain in the ass. I'm working on that in my job life.
Well, hopefully he
Uh,
doesn't see this episode because he'll be pissed that I can't find it. I put it somewhere as I was like cleaning up, but I can explain it. I mean, basically, I think Zoom works for your idea more than it hurts it. You
okay.
think it's not good. I think it's kind of funny
Yeah.
that the guy's not there and he's
Yeah.
trying to tell you what to do because it's going to be way harder for him to. He's not going to be able to put his hands in there and do anything.
I'm open to it. I just gotta like. I mean, see, if as long as they have a setup like you, but most people don't. Like this is the only I've done a
All they
few.
need is a camera.
Yeah, and a mic helps. And a USB interface.
Do what some well this is what who did I work with that would do this? There was something I did once. They would send a USB mic to whoever their guest was going to be, and then the guest would have to send it back after you got done the episode.
Actually, we could do that,
Yeah, you send it over to them.
or drop it off at their house or whatever.
Yeah, but you could totally send it with return postage,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they
yeah.
just mail it right back. So you buy one. What's a USB mic cost? $100. You buy them one and you send it in, and you get them a little table clamp, so it's like up there.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, or you pick a few guys that have. This guy has all that stuff. He's into filming himself. If you could go on his Instagram page, you could see some of the crazy stuff that he's done. Where a lot of it is art related, sculptures, and
Yeah.
he'll get a sculpture broken in the mail, and then instead of like sending it back, he's crazy. So he'll like learn how to like fuse the pieces back together and make it look better than it did if it wasn't broken.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be
What's
cool.
the title of the show?
Knowledge daddies.
Knowledge Daddies.
Yeah.
I like that. I'd watch that, but it's fucking blows. Podcasting blows. I gave up. To be honest, I
I
gave
know. I
up on the
saw it. Life
media.
of Joe is done.
I gave up with. I've given up on what do we have here? I had Fixing Joe. I had Joe's Week or something. I'm trying to, this week and Joe Matarese. I had Stand Up Lie Down with the Shrink, where we saw that was probably one of the better concepts that I did have. But then the doctor ended up getting accused of raping his patients, so
Oh
that
my
didn't help the
god.
show. Yeah, we had pitch meetings set up for that one. Then this guy ends
Jesus.
up getting all these allegations against himself, and I had called it early on. I
Oh
said, "This
no.
guy's kind of not a nice guy. Have you guys noticed? Do we
Yeah.
need this guy?" I kept saying, "Do we need? I know other doctors.
Yeah.
Like, do we need him? It's not like he's Dr. Phil and he's that famous."
I just started seeing a great therapist. He would be good for a show like that. Dude, this guy's just at the local New Rochelle family therapy clinic, and he went to Columbia. This dude is awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I used to say if I could have had my pick for when we were trying to psychoanalyze comedians, I wanted somebody that was like in your face, like
Mm.
someone. I pictured somebody like with tats, and like almost being like really forceful with their advice and making you do what they're saying. Because comedians are pussies when it comes to doing the homework that the therapist tells them to do.
But we also hate being told what to do.
Yeah, we're just like fuck this guy. Yeah, you'll hear a lot of comedians going, "Yeah, I went once. I think I'm better." I love that one. What? I'm better.
No.
Uh, um. So what other questions? What else do you need? I wouldn't focus on the names though. They always say that
Yeah.
you're better off. They always say that you want people watching the show because of you and your co-host. Like think of a guy like Stavros is a big example.
Mm-hmm.
He built his own fan base with this podcast he does with these 3 other guys, and they're kind of like misfitty, right? They're
Yeah.
not like they're goofy.
Yeah,
and they build a fan. They don't have guests. They just do it. You could have no guest. You could just try to learn how to do shit from YouTube videos. That could every episode. You don't even get the guest. Go right to the clip because they're all over YouTube.
that's kind of
Are you?
true. It's kind of interesting.
What if nobody's doing that? Are you allowed to just lift somebody's YouTube expert clip?
I mean, maybe we could just ask them for permission to use their clip.
Yeah, that's another way. And everything's up there from music to just learning how to use these programs that everybody's trying to figure out now with this new medium of face-to-face stuff on the internet. Like you see some of these people have a million views just showing you how to use StreamYard,
Yeah,
the new like app that everybody's using to StreamYard. I fucking hate StreamYard,
I
by
don't
the
know
way.
what the fuck that is.
It's like software that allows you to like what we're doing right now, but
Mhm.
then be able to add a lot of logo to what you're doing. Put like an
Uh,
overlay behind your screen so you can have like a theme,
okay.
and people like it.
Mm.
My daughter just stuck her head in. I'm
Uh-oh.
doing a podcast. Where's mom? I don't know. She's probably down on the first floor. She's not. What do you think I'm an expert in? You can be on camera for a second. Just stick your head in. Am I an expert in it? Do you remember Andrew Steiner? He didn't used to have that long beard. No?
No.
He's trying to do a podcast where he's going to have experts on and they're going to show him and this other friend of his that they're terrible at everything and they're going to try to learn how to do what the expert is. Am I an expert in anything? What do you think I'm really good at? Fatherhood, maybe?
She's not even trying to think.
Am I a good Am I a good dad? Yeah. How about fisherman?
I was actually thinking having you on as like an expert at pitching shows.
Uh, I have pitched a million.
I thought that would be a good episode.
I don't know if I'm an expert at it.
I mean, you're good enough.
That was a funny concept that they had in Montreal at the comedy festival that I ended up getting in one year. It was called Just for Pitching,
Oh.
and you'd have to pitch your concept. Yes?
We can end if you need to end.
No, I'm not going to end. I don't even know why she came up here. You looking for Ozzy or our dogs here? All right. Mommy's down on the first floor. Yeah, so you would pitch a show to a panel of different people that were like not experts, but like network execs or some important people in the industry. But what made it entertaining is there was an audience.
Yeah.
So you had
That's
a
funny.
TV screen next to you, and you could present your idea. I think you literally had like 5 minutes to show a video and pitch your concept. So you had to do it really fast, and then they would just shit on you to get laughs because there's an audience there.
That's pretty
And
funny.
yeah, and that's when I almost sold a show to ABC that way, and it was funny because I think I told you this story, but they weren't interested in what I was pitching. They thought what I was pitching sucked because I was pitching. I shot a pilot at Caroline's with Jim Norton, Artie Lang, and
Oh, yeah.
my shrink cousin, and we did therapy with the comedians after they did their sets. Like he was on stage with a notepad taking notes, and then as soon as they did their set, they sat down with the therapist. And then he comedically asked them psychological questions and tried to unveil some things about them, right? And it's still on YouTube. We have like a 4 minute clip of Artie Lang, I think, answering he's literally holding a glass of Jack Daniels while he's talking to the therapist.
That's
So,
great.
yeah. So there was a line in the pitch where I said, I think I'd be a good host for this because I got a lot of problems. I go like, I'm really narcissistic. I'm so narcissistic that I want to have a radio show where people call in to help me. It was like a joke in the pitch, and I go, "This is Joe. You're on the air. How can you help me?" Something like that, right? So the guy from ABC came up to me. He goes, "Your pitch stunk. I didn't really see any possibility in that." He goes, "But that one line you said where you're the patient and the audience at the radio show is the doctor and they're all giving you advice." He goes, "That sounds like a good premise for a sitcom. Have you written anything up?" And I said yes, which was a lie. And then I went home and I wrote a whole pitch and sent it to him. And then he flew me to LA and I got put on a showcase
Oh
to
wow.
perform. And no one showed up in the audience. It was a Monday night at the
Oh
Laugh
my
Factory,
god.
and no one showed up except the network. So I had to do stand up for 10 network executives and
It's
no other people.
horrible.
And every comedian bombed.
In
And then,
retrospect, do you think you could have like found an audience somehow, or like a few people?
what do you mean?
Just like try to bark people in. Do you think it would have been worth
Oh,
it?
I didn't know anybody in LA. And then you're such a new comedian, then in your head you're going, well, I'll make the network people laugh. Like
Yeah.
in retrospect, if I can give anybody advice, if anybody's watching us talk right now, uh, I shouldn't have done my strict set that was trying to sell my pitch idea. I
Yeah.
should have stepped outside it and made fun of the situation. And then
Yeah.
put like it's like that guy, he heard that one line and that's all he needed to be interested. He didn't need a 10-minute set to know. All I had to do was show a little neuroses.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I think I told you the story where I got booked to do this big comedy special at Spring Break back when MTV used to do comedy specials at Spring Break every year. They would go down there and they'd shoot this big comedy thing. And I had the last spot on the audition, and the checks came out right before I got introduced.
Oh,
And I was like, "Oh my god!" I was 18th out of 18 comedians,
Jesus.
and I went up, and I didn't do my set. I just went, "Come on, motherfucker!" Like not angry though. I was like, "I need this." Like I just got honest. This is a big opportunity. Please, please don't. I'll buy all your drinks. Put your checks down. I'll pay for all of them. I need this. And then I went on to have a good set. And that's what I got booked. I got the show. So like that's what I should have done in that ABC. And here's another one because I had a development deal with NBC to do my own sitcom. And there were like so many different hoops in the process of trying to get your own show on a television. And the first one was I had to do a showcase for all these showrunners. People that don't know show business don't know what a showrunner is, but a showrunner is the guy who is the head writer, basically, who writes your pilot with you, and then if you get picked up, he's the boss of the show. He hires all the other writers that he wants on the writing staff. He's the boss of it. Like Larry David was the showrunner of Seinfeld at
Mm.
the beginning. So I had to do a showcase for all these writers, and they said if you get this guy Matt Wickline to like you, you got a huge shot at getting your show on the air because he created D.L. Hughley's. He was the showrunner. D.L. Hughley had a sitcom called like The Hughleys or
Yeah,
something. It
yeah,
was
I
big. It
remember.
went into syndication. This guy had a huge house in Santa Monica just from that show. And I remember, that's why I moved to L.A. So because I got that guy, he was interested. He said, "I want to write Joe Matarese's pilot," and I was like, "Oh, I did what they said I needed to do."
Yeah.
He's interested. I'm moving to L.A. I write the whole pilot with him, and there's a few things. Seinfeld just said this on Mark Maron's podcast, which is great. He said every comedian should know that you're the best writer in the room. Like no matter who you get to be the showrunner of your show, you're better at writing what your show is going to be than they are. Like because that's what comedians do wrong. They let them take full control, and they write some show that stinks.
Yeah. Because
I
they
could think a
can't, no
lot.
one can write your voice. No one can do that
No,
because it takes you 10 years to start to figure out your
yeah.
voice. So it's like, how are they going to figure it out in a day?
And then we listen to them because we're insecure about. We should be insecure. We've never been in. We never wrote a sitcom about our life, so we're just like, okay, you do it. And
Yeah.
then, so I mean, one of the reasons why Seinfeld's was so good is him and Larry David did exactly what they wanted, and every time they tried to change it, they said no. And Seinfeld even says on this episode with Marin that he wouldn't advise a comedian even doing a sitcom now
Mm,
because they never do them in the way that he was allowed to do it with Larry David, and that's why so many of them aren't good anymore
yeah.
because they rearrange it.
Unless
Like,
you have like a web series that's already popular and they buy it and they know what it is.
do you watch Hulu sitcoms at all?
No, not really.
I a friend of mine, I was amazed that it was good. Was High Fidelity? They redid High Fidelity the movie and made it a 10 episode season, and they did a girl version of it. So
Oh,
instead of a guy like John Cusack, it's
she's-
Lenny Kravitz's daughter, Zoe
oh, Zoe.
Kravitz.
Yeah, she's reaching out
Yeah,
to all her exes.
yeah. Yeah, well, kinda. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the same storyline. And like the first episode, you're like, do I like this? Because it's almost word for word the movie.
Hmm.
But then it changes and it becomes its own thing by the second, third, or fourth. Next thing I know, I watched 10 episodes in like a night. I was like, this is good. This is and she's talking into the camera. It works in a dramatic. I don't think it works in the scene. Like, did you ever watch when
Malcolm in the Middle used to do that.
that single camera though? People don't realize that's a fake studio audience if there was laughter.
I don't think there was laughter.
No, that's a single camera show. It works that way in a subtle way where they kind of look in everyone.
Or
Like
it's like
there's
a
a show,
play. It's a
yeah,
play, basically.
like Fleabag. Did you ever watch that?
Yeah, yeah.
I love Fleabag, and that girl's show won a Golden Globe for best new comedy, and then you realize it was based on a one man play
Uh,
with her talking to the crowd, and she's really good at coming out of like acting in a scene and then like addressing the audience and then going back into it. So it
yeah.
was an easy adaptation, you know.
But I
Go
wanted
ahead.
to ask you though, like when bringing back to when you shot that MTV thing and you were 18th, like what gave you the wherewithal to be real, to be honest in that high pressure situation?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, that is a good question. Now that if I had to get really honest, and I'm guessing, but I do take antidepressants now, right?
Hmm.
So antidepressants kind of flushes that angst down the toilet and makes you like now. If you put me in that situation, I won't get as mad, right?
Hmm.
So I'd be like, I'd probably go in with a happy version of it, going, "Wow, okay, this is gonna suck." But I've always been an address the situation guy, and Jim Florentine knew the talent coordinator on that MTV show. This guy, I just told this on a Facebook Live. Don Jameson, do you ever work with him? He's a comedian now.
I've heard the name, but I don't know.
Well, he used to just book television shows and work for MTV, and he was really good friends with Jim Florentine and still is. So Jim or Don, after told me right there that night, he goes, "You taking that chance and showing the skill of that is what made you stand out on the show, and that's why we booked you." And then Florentine called me on the phone a few days later, and he goes, "That's from all the years of doing those shitty bar gigs.
Yeah.
You had that muscle." So if you've ever worked with me at those shitty gigs, which you have, I remember we did one together.
Rawway. We did Rawway.
Rawway, right? You
Yeah.
remember what did I do? Everybody else goes up and kind of does their set, and I just make fun of the place for 10 minutes, and I get everybody to like me.
Yeah.
But that comes from times of taking a chance and it not working. Because there's many times if I would get too mad by accident when I wasn't on meds, or I could lose them by I would get nasty. I'd rip the room a new asshole, and the owner would be like, "What the?" The owner would be mad at me. I'd be
Yeah.
like, "Are you serious?" Like the crowd would laugh. Like an example would be I'm in like some comedy club in Hartford, and there's a big hole behind the stage.
Yeah.
And behind that hole is where all the guys are washing dishes. I remember that once. And so they put a thin curtain in front of it. But you could still hear it if you were the comedian and you were so distracted because you're hearing glasses and I remember going on stage there and just pulling the curtain open going, "Do you believe this shit? This is what I got to deal with." You know, no other comedian would do that. So the crowd would really laugh, but then the owner would want to fire me. So there's a happy medium there, but I think I do come from that, not to compare myself to Jim Carrey because he's brilliant, but I always was a fan of comedians that take risks.
Yeah.
And there's a slight chance that that might not work, makes it really funny to me.
Yeah. I think a lot of my problem performing is I get anxious. I get tense on stage, and then I just like keep tensing up instead of like realizing I'm tense and relaxing and just being okay with whatever happens.
But I think it's a time thing. I mean, that's just me. I mean, if you would have took me, if you take me 5 years into comedy and dump me into that audition situation, it wouldn't have went well. If you take me, but and I can tell you times after that night where I had a big opportunity, and maybe I realized too late in the set that I can just say shit. There's always a little bit of a learning curve that you realize you can be the real you. Like, I remember a big audition in L.A. at the Improv. Another one where there's all managers, agents, and network executives in the audience, and they don't do them that much anymore. You'd hear these comedy showcase. They'd put 10 to 12 comedians on, and there'd be a lot of important people in the audience. And usually it was set up through a manager. He'd put all his clients on. You know, he'd stack the audience with industry, and it was always known it's an industry crowd. Like, they don't laugh unless you do jokes about the business. Like, inside jokes really work well for them. So it makes sense that talking about how afraid you are makes them laugh,
Yeah.
right? So I remember one of those once where I wasn't getting any laughs doing my act, and I just got honest for a second and got a big laugh. I said something like, why do I feel like if I don't do well tonight, they're going to murder my mom backstage? Why am I treating this like that? Right?
Yeah.
And that gets a laugh.
Yeah.
Or one of the things I did wrong with that sitcom situation, it went really far through the stages. So I get the big guy to write it, and then there's a moment where I'm waiting. I'm on the road doing colleges, waiting to see if my show is going to get picked up. And now they're like, it's down to you and three others. Now it's you and two other shows. I get a call. They want to fly you in back to LA. Can you cancel your next college gig? So I have to lose money.
Yeah.
They're going to fly you in. I mean, of course, back then they flew you first class, so it's pretty sweet. Put you up in a really nice hotel. And then they hired, this is what happened. They want to fly you back, and they want you to read 3 scenes from your pilot. We're going to hire you an acting coach, and we're going to get an actor to read those scenes with you instead of you having to just, read it to one of the regular people in the room.
Yeah.
So I have like 2 days to prepare. This was a mistake. I should have had more balls and said what I wanted to do. Because in my head, I'm going, I would have rather did a table read. I should have said, let me get like 6 of my actor friends, and we'll read the whole pilot from beginning to end, right off the script. You know,
Why would that?
that would have been way easier for a guy like me who I had no acting experience except for taking acting classes.
Yeah.
So for me to memorize in a day these long scenes,
Yeah.
right? And this is what made it hard. One of the scenes was it's supposed to be my friend. It's a guy scene. We only had one actor. It was an actress because we had other scenes that were with a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm doing these. I'm trying to do a guy scene and make it funny with a girl. I wasn't a good enough actor at that, and I always knew in my head because I knew I've had those moments in acting class when I'm acting with really good people. I can act. Like Seinfeld in Seinfeld works because everybody's so good that it rises his game up to good enough,
Yeah.
right?
And they can
Now,
accommodate him.
yeah. Now you put me in a scene with just some girl and we're like trying to make it doing three scenes out way harder than just doing a table read is pretty easy.
Yeah.
Especially if it's funny when you're reading it. It gets laughs in the room. So I I got so nervous, dude.
Mm.
Like I didn't have that note of fuck it. I would have been better off saying at the top of the. I remember I showed insecurity so fast in that table read because typical insecure comedian. There was two chairs where the two me and the actress were going to sit. Then there was this big space, and then there was like a couch along the back wall where you know all the network people were sitting. And I go, "Can you guys move up?" I said that like it was a comedy club. I go,
Yeah.
I need you closer to me. And dude, the fucking head of NBC took his chair and just shot all the way to the front, like almost busting my balls. Let's see if you can just read straight
Oh,
to the head of the network's face, right?
Jesus.
I didn't call anybody on anything. I tried to pretend I was confident. And this is such a life lesson. But the guy who was the showrunner was in the room, and he calls me outside. He goes, "Joe, read the three scenes with the girl, then say thank you." Did I told you this story before?
No, no, no.
He goes, "Say thank you, and then walk out of the room, shut the door, and then I'm going to speak on our behalf why I think they should pick up our show and how great I think you're going to be at the lead of this sitcom." I get no laughs
Mm.
in the scenes. I'm telling you, so nervous, and I don't get nervous usually as a performer. My heart is going because in my head I'm going, this goes well, you're rich, your whole
Yeah.
life is set. You
Yeah.
have a sitcom on it, which is stupid because I know many guys that have gotten their shows on the air and they're still at the same level of comedy I'm at right now because they do 3 episodes and they cancel it. I know guys that had 2 seasons of their own show and they're not superstars right now. It wasn't you got to know that in your head it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
So I do the 3 scenes, no laughs. I say thanks for having me and I walk out the room. As I'm shutting the door, I think the door is all the way shut. It's not. I close it. I think it's shut and I go like that. Huge laughs. I hear from the other side of the door. I'm like, you motherfucker. That's all I had to show them. Be
Yeah.
me. That's who you were being in the sitcom. The sitcom was about you as
Yeah.
you. You just showed them you. They laughed. You kept you from them for 3 scenes. You weren't being you. You is funny.
Yeah.
It's like, well, how did you know to fucking tell them that audience to shut the fuck up and you'd pay for all their checks? How did you know? Because I had been being me long enough that there had to be a piece of me that was going, you're fucking funny when you just fucking go off the cuff and tell them the truth. The
Yeah.
truth is always funnier than the fake. It's like why Sebastian would have been so much better in his pilot if he was just acting the scene because he would be just being him. His life is funny. It's a funny situation. That's why he gets standing ovations. He doesn't need to do a stand-up act. Why are you doing stand-up in your living room unless there's a reason?
Yeah.
Like I always say, if you're talking into the camera and you give it a good reason, like High Fidelity, even in that single camera, she's trying to figure something out. That's why it works when she's talking. She's trying to learn. She's
Yeah.
evolving through the series. That's
She's
why even in Goodfellas, when he's narrating the whole movie, and then you realize at the end when he stands up in the courtroom, you're like, oh, he was supposed to be. The whole movie was him really in the courtroom. It has a reason. That's why it's great. Don't just fucking do And Seinfeld, yeah, he's a stand-up comedian. That's why he's on stage for a couple of seconds doing
And
stand-up.
then they kind of stopped doing that as the show went on. Even
Yeah, and they decided it was slowing the show down. Why the fuck are you standing up in the middle of your living room talking into a camera? You know why? Because people besides Sebastian were creating it,
yeah,
and he listened. I guarantee it. And I know Sebastian's friends with Seinfeld. I bet Seinfeld even said why he made that comment on Marin. You're better off not doing a sitcom if you're gonna have to listen to them.
yeah, dude.
Louis C.K. had the last comedy sitcom that really did well, and
Yeah,
what was he doing? What he wanted to do. They weren't
yeah.
telling him what to do at all.
True. Very true. Joe, this was fucking
So
great.
so do that with your show. I would. There's no rules, man. You could try one episode where the guy's there, and the
Yeah.
next one he's on YouTube, or the next one you're having YouTube videos. You can do a different thing every episode.
And if it sucks, I don't have to release it.
There's no way that's going to suck though if you just keep trying them and
Yeah.
just keep putting them out there and allow yourself to know I'm getting better at this.
It's true.
You know, like I'm talking more than you. It's probably because I'm on Adderall.
No, no, it's
I'm a
good.
chatty bastard when I'm
Hey,
on
you're
Adderall.
you're telling me you're telling people stuff they want to know, so I'm glad you're talking more than me.
Okay. Yeah, I think what comedy needs is swings and misses is part of it.
Yeah.
You know, like even because I'm going back to Sebastian because he's already a star. He doesn't need it at all. He doesn't need a sitcom. But if in his heart he really wants to do a sitcom and like that was something he really wanted to do, I hope he knows to do the next one in the way that he really wants to do it.
Yeah.
It's like I always go back to that Phil Rosenthal, the guy that created Everybody Loves Raymond, when I got to interview him and he said, make the show you want to make because they're going to cancel it anyway. And he goes, that's your life too. Do the life that you want to do. We're all going to die. So do what you want to do and don't worry about it at all, what anybody else thinks. If you can really not worry about it and just you enjoy trying it a little bit,
I think I do. I think I have done that in my life, and I think I'm,
well, look at your TikTok. You're totally not giving a shit. You throw weird shit out there. You were doing 2 a day.
yeah,
So I mean, why would you not want to release? All that needs to be the same is that concept, the achieving of that concept. That's what's great about podcasting. It's not like you're on network television. You can one day have a YouTube clip showing you how to do something with an expert, and the next week the guy's standing next to you and he's your guest, and the week after that the guy's on Zoom, but it's still the same concept. It's
right.
somebody showing you know. I mean, Ari Shafir did that podcast where he had experts, right? But he was never learning how to do anything.
That's true.
You're just
Yeah,
talking to them, right?
yeah, just picking their brain, telling their story.
Is anybody doing anything where they're going into action and learning? I mean,
Uh,
some guys pick one thing, like Bert Kreischer does a cooking show. He's
yeah,
not a chef, but he knows a little bit, right?
yeah. I guess the closest thing is like Dirty Jobs or something.
And he does it.
Yeah, I've never really watched that show, but I don't think he's like coming at it from like before and after type thing, and it's only like bad jobs, not like arts and crafts and science and that kind of thing.
Right. You're going full gamut. Like,
Going highbrow.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be menial labor. It can be anything. Like, you could try to be doing something like
Theoretical math, like we want to do an episode like that.
feel. What is that?
Just like, I don't know, conceptual math, like physics, but math.
Here would be my advice on that one. What's important when you're doing a visual medium,
Yeah.
it has to be something that you can actually show visually. How are you going to show math?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Zoom in on you writing a word problem out? It's probably not going to be visually
interesting.
attractive.
That's true. Unless it's like some kind of, yeah, this is probably a hard one to do.
You always got to pick things that you can show.
That has
Glass
action.
blowing, everything that has, yeah, it's got to have action. It can't
Yeah.
just be like I've given advice to comics that send me clips. They're like, "What did you think of this?" I'm like, do you watch what people are doing who are successful? I'm like, look at the comedians that are doing really well with their videos. I go, they got words on the screen. There's music. Look at Andrew Schultz. He's turning the camera sideways.
Yeah.
It's always attractive. That's big. This is a visual medium. It can't
Keeping
be you
people.
sitting there like this.
Yeah. Keeping people engaged.
Yeah. I mean, you throw all those different words on the screen and you know how to keep it short.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. If you throw your 10 best ideas down for episodes and ask some others what they think of these, and then and make sure they're people that if it's difficult to get the guests, I can tell you from being a guy that's tried a lot of podcasts, that'll make you quit doing the podcast. If it's really hard to get, if it's easy to get guys, you go, look, it's easy. I can go right to YouTube. They already exist. That's gonna make your show have more legs for you if it's an easy get. So like that might be the best way to go with it. Go, look, these already exist. You just got to contact this person. And now pick people on YouTube that have 1 million people that watch their video
Yeah.
as your guest. Like now they got a fan base. You're bringing them in. Don't pick somebody that's got nobody.
Right. That's a good idea. All right, Joe. I mean, my podcast is usually 30 minutes, so we've done more than enough.
Yeah, I take Adderall. It's a 2-hour episode.
No, I love this episode. This is my favorite episode I've done, I think.
Oh, good. Well, thanks for having me. I love talking inside baseball like this.
Me too, man. Thanks for doing it.
Okay. So what was you had advice for me a little bit, which is what did you say? It was a good hook for me.
Oh yeah, go interact with people who are just geniuses. Who are intellectual geniuses.
I tried to do that once where I was like, I'm going to do Joe's version of the news, but I guess that wasn't a far enough fish out of water.
No, you got to talk to the theoretical mathematicians, the molecular biologists.
What the hell would I ask them? What if I'm not interested in it at all?
That's funny too. You being bored out of your mind? That's hilarious. Because everyone's going to be bored out of their mind.
How would you find those guests today on my show?
I mean, no one's asking them, so
just that setup is funny. Hi, today on my I could just picture me today on my show. I have who was the guy that movie was about? Who wrote that? Oh, this is pathetic. The guy that basically, was it Lou Gehrig's disease? No, he had that disease where he lost complete
Stephen
function.
Hawking's.
Stephen Hawking. That movie. Imagine like me interviewing Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, you just interviewing the most boring guys and then just getting bored and then talking over them, and it's just I think it'd be funny. I mean, you're good with
like
me.
A Saturday Night Live sketch.
I'm pretty boring. You're good with me, so I think it'd be funny.
Did you have someone sent me this recently because this is an example of it, and the sketch was so funny. Fish out of water is always funny, man. Do you ever? Well, everybody, you've seen Black Jeopardy when they do that on Saturday Night Live.
Not Black Jeopardy, no.
No, they do a Black Jeopardy one now. And like Keenan's the host. He's hilarious, that guy. And they did an episode where it's like this. It's two black girls, and Tom Hanks, his character is just named Doug, and he's just like really white guy. But he's saying shit that's so dead on that he turns them. They're like, yeah, you know what? You're all right, man. Yeah, yeah. He's like, yeah, that happens to me too. And it was like he's so like the opposite of them that it's hilarious. So I think you're on to something here. I can't try another podcast.
Don't do a podcast. Do like just like a web series or like a man on the, not just even an interview. Yeah, just an interview web series or some shit.
That is funny. Because I had pitched a show to somebody's manager once when Patrice O'Neill was alive. I said, just call it Fish Out of Water.
Yeah.
Because no one was funnier in a fish out of water situation than Patrice O'Neill. I don't know if you ever met him.
No, but he's hilarious.
I saw a pilot that him and Rich Voss made together, another comedian, where the concept was roast they roast the bridal party at the wedding, right? So it had like segments leading up to it, and it was like it was similar to my thing where the guy from ABC goes, "That show you pitch sucked," but that line where you want to be the patient and the audience is the doctor. I like that. When I watched their pilot, there's a scene where Patrice was at the beauty shop with these really upper crusty white women, and Patrice was just being Patrice and ripping on them, and it was so funny. Oh my! I was dying, and I go, "Fuck the whole that show that you were doing with Voss. Just do a show called Fish Out of Water and put Patrice in those situations every week. Everyone's watching that. The guy's hilarious. He doesn't. You don't need that contrived thing where he's at the wedding. Why is he? Just throw him in places he doesn't fit.
Yeah, I think
Just
I
let
think
it go."
I think your show might be funny, just like because you have that bit about being at the party with your wife's friend. It could be
Uh-huh.
like Joe at the cocktail party or dumb guy at the cocktail party or something like that.
Yeah, and just jump cut it together and just have me saying dumb shit.
Just
But it
you
can't be
and
contrived
just you
like
and
me
him.
going dumb. Too dumb doesn't work. Like I had a
No, no,
friend that
no,
used to
no,
give me advice and he would go, "You should be like Joey on Friends. That's you're
no,
funny
no,
when
no.
you're the dumb guy." I go, I'm not dumb though. I'm
Yeah, you're
just
not.
dumb in certain situations. There's a
Right.
lot of situations that I'm way smarter than everybody else.
Exactly. But like even
Maybe
you
two.
and him, just you and whoever your guest is, just having